What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Cracker Crumbs update. Gonna do a review on 2 books I got a chance to read. Pretty much the last 2 that I have. Well, to read anyway. I'm still waiting for my shipments, which I'll get into that a little later on. But I want to thank one of my newest subscribers, which is my Cosmic Life. Appreciate the subscription. Very cool. And gonna go on kind of a rant a little bit later. But let me do the review first, and then we'll get into everything else. Got a chance to read Green Lantern Corps number 15, which is kind of interesting in a weird kind of way with Guy Gardner. In the previous issues, he was stripped of his title and his ring, so he's no longer a Green Lantern. And he just kind of has, like, I guess like a meltdown, I guess. He's flipping out in his garage, you know, I was a Green Lantern, I was this, I was that. He's punching the walls, flipping out. And he gets out of his Green Lantern costume, kind of throws it in the corner, and gets on his motorcycle and, you know, starts talking to calls his brother and his father, and, you know, whole big thing. And he figures that if Batman can do what he does without any powers, then he can do what Batman does in this city. So he starts going after criminals, pretending he has his ring still, and making them think he still has his Green Lantern ring. And he winds up, towards the end, screwing up and hitting undercover cops that were trying to do like a drug deal and a weapon deal or something like that, and he winds up getting arrested by his own sister. Moving on to the Amazing Spider-Man number 402, the battle for Aunt May's soul. Sucked. But it does kind of show how Spider-Man really is in back in the day anyway. I think he was the Traveler, this guy's called. Basically, Spider-Man's trying to clear his name, and, you know, he's wearing Ben Reilly's costume and stuff like that. And this guy shows up and wants to dissect Spider-Man, basically, in a way, and see how he operates. And he offers to bring back Aunt May if Spider-Man would kill somebody. And Spider-Man figures out that he's full of shit and crushes this orb and the whole big thing. But it does get into a bit of a rant on certain things, I guess would be the thing. But before I get into the Spider-Man rant that I'm going to have, which I always seem to have, I want to thank rdowdy95. He answered my question about how to read the comments and how to really work the Hangout Live thing, so I really appreciate it, man. I really do. So I'm going to give your suggestion a whirl, and hopefully we'll have Cracka Live in the future in better ways. And another thing, like I said, I'm going to get into some stuff here, but also everyone should go check Why Not Art's video, where just wants to talk. That's the name of it. Awesome video, and I'm going to get into that in a second. But one thing I wanted to show, it's funny, because my friend kind of, well, she didn't give me the idea, but part for the show, gave me the idea. She was saying how she fixed her toilet with a paper clip, and I came with the thing. I said, "Oh, you MacGyverized it," and she's like, "Yeah." And that's the one thing that I always tell people all the time. Always try to think outside your realm of thinking, I guess. For instance, this is what I came up with, which I thought was pretty cool. My uncle, he loves golf. You know, he's got different golf balls, stuff like that. And it's kind of a bitch, because like if you want to display golf balls like this I got from Universal Studios, which is a Spider-Man golf ball, which is really cool. How do you display it, you know, because it's going to roll off a shelf or whatever it is, you know. When I'm sitting there, I'm like, you know, what can I do? What's a cheap way of displaying a golf ball? Couldn't think of anything. I'm sitting there, and then my fiance and I, we got a pizza, and I'm looking at the thing, I'm like, hey, wait a minute. The little pizza trays, well, the little pizza tables, or whatever it is, you flip them upside down, you put your golf ball in, and now you have a little container that will keep your golf ball, won't roll anywhere, it's flat, and hey, MacGyverized. So now I have about 10 different golf balls. Just show you. And every time we get a pizza, I save the little trays. I get a little 8-ball one. and I just put them in the little trays, and I put them on the shelf. It's a little something idea for you, little very cheap, effective way if you're into golf balls or stuff that rolls around, I guess. Anyway, moving on. Why not art? His video was really awesome, explaining, stuff with collectors and going into some personal stuff, which everything in his video was almost exactly like in my kind of situation in a way too, because my fiance, when we first started dating, oh my god, it'll be 12 years in January 1st. She didn't have a clue, because I was living at my grandmother's house, and obviously I had a lot of comics, but I don't have as much as I do now. But before getting that, like for instance, when I used to live with my parents, when I lived in Lindenhurst, it was kind of cool because we had the whole house. Well, not the whole house, but we had the lower half in the basement. And for my 18th birthday, which I think I talked about, my father made the basement into like my own room kind of thing, but I kind of turned it into a room/man cave. And it was awesome because I had posters everywhere. I had a punching bag hanging. I had all my martial art weapons around, all my training stuff. I had all my artwork everywhere. I had video game, like a center for like my video games. Everything was awesome. Like Why Not Art was saying in his video, how to display stuff and so people can appreciate it. And my friends used to come over and they would love. Oh my God, we got to check out your basement. You got to If I had a pool table, it would have been perfect. But when I moved to my grandmother's, I had no space. I was living in one little very small bedroom, and pretty much all my comic books were in the closet, in boxes just stacked up, and they were such a bitch to take in and out of the closet because I had so many other things in there that, same thing Why Not Art was saying, that there's so many times I bought doubles of something because I didn't even know I had it, because it was just so, it was organized, but it was unorganized, if that makes any sense. And pretty much my entire collection that I spent lots of paychecks when I was a kid, and time finding when I had the basement, the big area, got confined to a little itty-bitty room. So, my fiance would come over and be like, oh, it's just a bunch of junk, because everything was in boxes, nothing was really out. And when I did put stuff out, it was just like cluttered, like, because there was just no room, so everything was kind of like, eh. And she was always like, it's, so I feel you, man. And it's funny too, because when we finally decided to get our own apartment together, and we moved into here, which is a pretty big space, I was lucky enough to have, back there, the door that comes into the apartment is almost like its own little storage unit. So it works out rather nicely, because I've shown on the videos, it was my man cave, I had it, it was all nice, and, my friends would come over like, oh my God, look at that, Batmobiles, and, check that out, my son would love to see that. Oh yeah, come on in, no problem. I didn't mind at all. I loved sharing my stuff, as I do now, but it was just cool. Even though it was a small storage area, I turned it into something cool, where people were like, wow, that's cool, how'd you do that, how'd you do this, how'd you do that, where'd you get that from, things like that, which in turn made me happy, because people were taking interest and kind of understood a little more. People didn't collect comics, just like on your video, kind of got a grasp, like, oh yeah, and my fiance was looking, she's like, oh, that is nice, that's cool, when it's framed, a poster or a signed poster, or, my comics aren't shoved into a corner, and, everything's kind of, so it's very interesting. So I know where you're coming from with that. When you have spaces, there's no limit to what you can come up with, like just kick-ass ideas. And my fiance and I were trying to get our own house, hopefully in the summer, where that's what huge secret that's kind of going around. It's not really a secret, but it just hits so many roadblocks, I guess would be the thing. Just kind of like, which I'm going to answer a question later on that I had gotten, but it just keeps, it always seems to have something get in your way. Like the closer we seem to get to it, the farther it is away. We're like, yeah, I missed it, But you gotta have that kind of, that positive attitude in a way. Like, even though when you really don't feel that positive, you gotta think, you're like, you know what? It happened for a reason. It's gonna be that much better when we get it, and you're just kind of like, yeah. Because my fiance, we have a deal. When we get the house, I get the ultimate man cave. Which I had mentioned to people was like, it's just people are like, oh, what the hell's a man cave? What's the point? Collectors, especially, or even guys, especially, need their own little area, just to just block out the world when you need to. When you're just like, yeah, I don't want to hear about this. I don't want to hear about that. You go in your cave, and it's your realm. It's your world. There's nothing in there that can mess with you unless, of course, you want it to. But the outside world doesn't have to exist in your cave. And that's what's cool, because you're just kind of like, granted, I know psychologists be like, oh, you're escaping reality. No shit. That's the idea. Because sometimes reality bites. So you need a little bit of a break. And that's what a cave is really all about in ways, not just to show your collection, because you can really do that anywhere if you wanted. But a cave is kind of like your own personal, not amusement park, but your own personal piece where you can let people in or you can just keep it to yourself. That's just the way I see it. And as for a question I had gotten, people would ask me, like, oh, what's going on with your comic book store, man? Because we haven't heard anything about that. Well, let's just say the ultimate of roadblocks went, so it's like, but it's still a work in progress, because I am not giving up until I actually have it. Because a lot of people tell me, like, oh, we're not trying to be mean, but it'll fail, and you're going to be screwed. And trust me, it's in my head all the time that I'm like, what if I get this thing and, I spend all this money and borrow all this money and do all these things to get this thing, and it screws up and it fails and it goes, yeesh. I was looking at it as like, I don't want to do it because for that particular reason, I don't want to screw with other people's money or mess it up. But then I was looking at something, and this girl apparently had a business, and it failed after 2 years. And they said, oh, what was the thing? And she's like, oh, well, you know what? She goes, granted, it failed in 2 years, but it was the best 2 years of my life. I gave it a shot. It didn't work, but at least I tried it. So that's pretty much my mindset on stuff now, where I'm just like, I have to give it a whirl. Even if it can take, a lot longer than I wanted it to, I gotta give it a shot. Because I would like to have a store that's unlike anything else, that people will actually be happy to come in and say, hey, they didn't screw me. Now, as for my Spider-Man rant I was getting into, I did order quite a few, which I wasn't going to, and I'm like, you know what? Which is kind of funny, because my fiance actually ordered them too, so what the hell? I had ordered the regular edition Spider-Man number 700, because I just like the way the cover is. I thought it was really cool. And I ordered the Midtown exclusive. And my fiance's like, oh, well, those are the ones you want, because she knows it's the last issue. And I was like, and she knows how big of a Spider-Man fan I am, which is good. Which kind of goes into the whole, like I said, the having space. Because like now, granted I have the space, but I have so much stuff that I acquired over the years as well that it's still looking like it did when I was at my grandmother's house, where it's just in one big pile where you're like, huh. And my man cave doesn't exist anymore, really, because I've put everything in boxes, because there was just too many break-ins in this place, and it wasn't worth losing my stuff. So now it's... But anyway, so I ordered the two Spider-Man ones that I wanted for 700. And my friend's like, oh, what about the other ones? And I was like, well, they're 6 something a piece, and they're cool, and I really like them, but they're just covers. And she's like, oh, well, if you could pick, 2 more, which one would you pick? And I picked I actually picked 3. I picked the one where Spider-Man's swinging over the city, where it's bright. And I picked the one where it's Spider-Man in the background fighting the Goblin over a diner that says Happy New Year. And the one with all Spider-Man's villains on the bottom and all his loves in the moon. And I was like, yeah, those are cool. And she's like, well, what about the one that's the skyline with every artist and stuff like that? I was like, yeah, it's not bad. And I was like, but I really don't like that one that much, And that's probably the one that's worth the money. But so she had turned around and ordered them for me. And she's like, oh, well, it's an extra, Christmas present. I know how much you like Spider-Man, and times have been kind of rough lately, so it's something that, I know you'll really enjoy. And so I was shocked. I was like, hey, cool. Where it goes for variants, like I said, variants are out of hand. They have to really kind of let up a little bit on these things. Granted, with Spider-Man, I'm like, you bastards, you got me. But the thing that I always find funny is which Smo Daddy was talking about, which makes total sense because you know exactly this, but exactly what Marvel's going to do. You look at issue 700 and you're like, oh, this is the end of Amazing Spider-Man. It's done. It's over with. That's it. We're done. Now they're looking at us like, oh, we're going to use Superior Spider-Man as the new Spider-Man. That's going to, be great. If you look at Midtown Comics on any of the Spider-Man things, I think they had it on there. They actually mentioned that I think it was Avenging Spider-Man 15.1. I think it was that they mentioned that if Avenging Spider-Man, Superior Spider-Man fails, they'll be back with Amazing Spider-Man in one form or another, which is totally true. Because now you look at Marvel. Marvel's got you on Amazing Spider-Man 700, like, hey, it's the last issue, everyone's going to buy it. Then they get you on Superior Spider-Man #1 because you want to know what the hell's going on. And then if Superior Spider-Man fails, which it might, I don't know. It looks like one of those ones they're going to only go a certain length and just they'll bring back Amazing Spider-Man with a new #1, and then everyone's going to go crazy over that, like, oh, he's back, So, bastards. And Doc and Hellett was asking on one of his newer videos, what's your New Year's comic book resolutions? Which, very interesting question. My problem is, well, my resolution for comics anyway, is to try to just appreciate a little more what I have, because a lot of times myself, I know this is as fact, I'll go out and I'll rush and, a lot of times I'll sit back and I'll wait until there's a good deal of comics comes around, which is kind of a pain in the ass at times, but sometimes I'll rush and I'll spend the extra money on the book, and, I'll be like, oh my god, I got, Iron Fist #14, yeah! And then I'll put it away and go, alright, now I gotta get Amazing Spider-Man #4, I got, oh yeah. And I'm happy and I'm appreciative that I have it, but then I'm like, I'm not really soaking in, like, holy shit, I have Iron Fist #14, But, so that's one of my resolutions, to kind of appreciate a little more what I have, and instead of going crazy, going, oh, I gotta get this book now, and I gotta get that book now, because it gets nuts. You gotta kind of like, And my other resolution for comics anyway would basically just, I'm hoping my detective work is true, and I get some Mylars for the holidays, because I really want to put my older comics in a better protective thing, and keep them, a little nicer looking and a little more well protected, so that, 10 years from now, my Amazing Spider-Man 39 isn't like destroyed or, ripped or, God knows what else. And even though I've been getting very good with organizing my comics, because it used to be a mess. I had the boxes, but they were just, everything was everywhere, and this year I actually was smart. Well, not just smart, but I was like, all right, I got to do something about this, because this is insane. I don't know where one stops or one ends. I went out and bought the dividers. I took the time to make the dividers up, put them in the thing. Granted, I need a hell of a lot more dividers, but it was a start. Like, I'm like, all right, here's Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man. This whole box is Amazing Spider-Man, so I don't have to worry about a divider. This box is all Wolverine, so I don't have to worry about a divider, because it's all one series. But whereas, like, I was like, oh, this is, Infinity Gauntlet, this is Secret Wars, this is, I'm like, alright, where the hell is this stuff? So it makes it a lot easier. So my other resolution besides Marlar is just to kind of organize my organization, I guess would be it. Get a little more organized than I am now, because my one big problem is I'm waiting, because like I said, we're going to try to move, hopefully in the summer we'll be able to get this house we're looking at, and I'm waiting because I'm looking. I wanted to buy more boxes and buy a lot of dividers for that, but I really wanted to get those shelf comic book boxes, the ones where you pull out and they have, and make it a little nicer, because if I have a nice size room for a man cave, it'll kick ass. I'll have those things stacked up like cabinets. It'll be awesome. I'll have a display case that Mr. Fix It Smash told me about, so I can put my statues up in a better spot than just have them boxed. And have some lights, make everything look really cool, and appreciate a little more. Like I said, like with Why Not Art, you know you have your collection, you know it means something to you, but when you have it displayed in a certain way that you enjoy it a hell of a lot more, and then people can actually, like I said, if you have it in your man cave, you want people to see it, people get a better understanding of like, oh, that's really cool, and then you can go into like, oh yeah, I got that from, when I went to Florida on vacation, or I got that in, Canada, or I got that in, when I went to Japan, all these, just collectors themselves, especially when you're passionate about your stuff, is exactly where you got your stuff from. You remember it like it was almost yesterday. Like I could tell you almost every comic when and where I've got it from. Well, I remember that I had a lot of I have a lot of doubles, but I'm like, damn, gotta have to remember that. But I can remember, my first comic, like I've talked about a lot when my cousin gave it to me. I remember where we were. I remember, everything. Granted, I can't remember what the name of the comic book store was, but, certain memories. And as for organization, another thing I was going to, it's kind of funny because I was looking at, what the hell is it, that computer thing where it organizes your comics, and you can scan this and scan that so you know what you have. I was thinking about getting that because that would definitely make my life a lot easier. But then I was like, what if I don't have my computer? And my phone is not the high tech phone that most people have. It's just calls and text. And so I reverted back to my old school ways, and that's kind of archiving. I grabbed up a notebook, wrote down every friggin' issue of Amazing Spider-Man there was, every volume, divided it up onto what I have and what I need. And on my what I need list, I just, I cross it out and go, all right, this is what I got already, this is what I got, okay, cool. And then, which would have made a lot more sense had I, put it in the copy machine. But because I'm crazy like that, I actually made separate copies of every comic that I'm looking for. Well, for Amazing Spider-Man anyway. Wrote them all down on loose leaf, and I take this, I put this in my wallet. So now when I go to a comic book store, I'm like, alright, I'm not all over the place, because my fiance gets pissed like when we stay in comic book stores forever, because I'm trying to think of what the hell I need to get, and I'm like, what did I come in here for? Oh, look at Wolverine, and then you kind of distract you, like, oh, and then what was the number I was looking for? And then, you're all, me, I know it for a fact, I'm so involved in everything in the store that I forget exactly what the hell I came in there to grab, and I wind up leaving with all this crap and don't even get the book that I came in there for originally, and I'm like, son of a bitch, you get home, you're like, eh. So, yeah, I went a little old school, made a little notepad thing, keep in my wallet, so whenever I go to a comic store, I'm like, oh, that's what I'm looking for, let's see what I can get. I did have one where it had prices of different areas where, so I knew if I was getting a deal or not, like especially on eBay. Like if I went into, a mock time and looked for Amazing Spider-Man 105, and eBay selling it for 30 and they have it for 60, then I know I'm better off getting on eBay. Yeah, stuff like that. But yeah, it's pretty much it on my video. I think I covered everything. Maybe one video I'll tell everyone how to correctly take care of your gremlin, if you have any. They're not that bad. They're not crazy. You got to pet them like any other pet. Check their nails. You don't want fungus in there. Give them a little shake here and there. Feed them. Just make sure it's before midnight. You got to watch the little bastards. Give them a little, little pet. They purr when you rub the belly. You can't really hear them purr because it's this weird high pitch kind of thing, and I try not to do it on camera because it might break the lens. But anyway, yeah, I think I covered everything. I should be getting shipment soon. I'm freaking hoping because I'm trying to let it go because Midtown. I explained it before. They kind of did right. They kind of made amends for things, but they're also slipping right back into what pissed me off to begin with. They claim their shipments are down, because of the over volume of the holidays, and Black Friday really messed them up, and the Christmas and the New Year, and their shipping is all screwed up, and blah blah blah. I have a shipment that's almost a month overdue, and they keep sending me stuff saying it was processed, it was shipped, it was that, and they sent me an email today which is like I said, because I sent them a thing. I'm like, what's going on? I was like, because I'm missing, 2 shipments already, and it's just getting a little insane. They sent me an email. Well, it'll be shipped when we get a chance. I'm like, oh, okay. I was like, here we go. So one shipment, it's going to get shipped when they get a chance to ship it out, and the other one they claim I just got a shipping invoice for it. This is the 4th time I got a shipping invoice for it, so I don't know what the hell's going on. But I'm gonna not let it bother me. I'm gonna just, kind of like, just kind of relax and, you know, just, the end of the world's coming on Friday. I would like to have my books before everything blows up, but, what the hell? I guess I'll wait and see. And, yeah, that'll do it for this lovely, lovely video. My update. Hopefully I made a few points. Who knows? That's what I do. And hopefully, thanks to RDI95, I'll be able to do a cracka live the way it should be done, where I can actually see your comments and talk about your comments. So I'm gonna mess around with that. So you're gonna see a lot of weird things pop up soon, because I'm gonna mess around with the stuff and get it working. And maybe I'll actually be on Captain Cummings' podcast if I get it all right and I know what the hell is going on. So that'd be cool. Give it a whirl. Which I believe he has it on Friday or Saturday. But, check out his channel, Captain Cummings. He advertises. So, yeah, that'll do it. That'll do it. I think I covered everything. If you like what you see, please hit the like button. If you really like what you see, hit the subscribe button. And as always, if I take one from Mongo Stomp Time 07, and I got to say one thing about RDI95. It really is fun saying coming at you live. In the way, like, coming at you live. It's almost like Hulk smash. You just want to, yeah. So, it's cool. But, and why not art? Like I said, check out his stuff. And, my lovely phrase, it's not the size of your man cave that matters. Why not art? Yeah, yep, see what I'm saying? It's what you have in it that counts.